Welcome back to my channel. Today we're taking you on a deep dive into some of the world's most polluted countries, places where environmental degradation has reached critical levels. In this eye-opening documentary, 12 Dirtiest Countries in the World, we'll uncover how pollution impacts daily life, from the smog-choked streets of Delhi to the contaminated waters of the Nile. These aren't just statistics we're talking about. They're real stories affecting millions of people. As we journey through these countries, I want you to think about this. How can we, as a global community, address these issues before they become irreversible? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to share them in the comments below. Let's start a conversation about our planet's future. India tops the list when it comes to pollution, facing one of the most severe environmental crises in the world. The situation is especially dire in cities like Delhi, where air quality has reached critical levels. According to the World Health Organization, levels of dangerous particles in the air, known as PM 2.5, often soar to over 5 times the safe limit. This extreme pollution isn't just annoying, it's deadly. Data from the Lancet Countdown in 2024 shows that over 1.67 million people in India die each year from illnesses related to air pollution, including respiratory and heart diseases. But it's not just the air that's a problem. Water pollution is another massive challenge. Take the Ganges River, for example. It's not only culturally and religiously significant, but also one of the most polluted rivers in the world. The Ganges is flooded with industrial waste, plastic, and untreated sewage, turning what was once a lifeline for millions into a toxic stream. Estimates suggest that only about 30% of the Ganges water is actually water. The rest is contaminated waste. In the midst of this environmental disaster, life goes on in the streets of some of the most polluted cities where the air is thick with smog and the water is undrinkable. You might see women openly struggling just to get by, fighting to make a living or simply surviving day by day in such a harsh environment. The pollution crisis in India isn't just an environmental disaster, it's a public health catastrophe that needs urgent attention, especially for the most vulnerable. Nepal is famous for its stunning natural beauty and the majestic Himalayas, but it's also dealing with a serious pollution crisis, particularly in its capital, Kathmandu. Despite the breathtaking landscapes, Kathmandu has become one of the most polluted cities in the world. Air quality has taken a nosedive due to vehicle emissions, industrial activities, and widespread burning of biomass. According to the latest data from 2024, Kathmandu's Air Quality Index, or AQI, often exceeds 300, which is classified as hazardous, making it one of the most polluted capitals globally. This dangerous level of pollution is taking a heavy toll. The World Health Organization reports that air pollution in Nepal is responsible for over 30,000 deaths each year. But this pollution isn't just a health crisis, it's also threatening Nepal's vital tourism industry. People visit Nepal for its clear mountain views, but more and more tourists are being greeted by thick smog and polluted air, which could seriously impact future tourism. The growing pollution problem in Nepal highlights the urgent need for sustainable solutions. If we don't address this crisis soon, it could cause irreversible harm to the country's environment, the health of its people, and its reputation as a top travel destination. Tajikistan, located in Central Asia, is facing a growing environmental crisis that's taking a toll on its people. Over the past decade, the country's air quality has dramatically declined, mainly due to increased vehicle emissions and unchecked industrial activities. According to 2024 data, Tajikistan's air quality has worsened to the point where it's significantly reducing life expectancy. The World Bank estimates that in heavily polluted areas, people could be losing up to 2.5 years off their lives. But it's not just the air that's the problem. Tajikistan is also dealing with severe water pollution, particularly in its rivers and lakes, which are contaminated with industrial waste and agricultural runoff. Poor waste management practices make the situation even worse, leading to widespread environmental degradation and health hazards for local communities. For example, the Vaksh River, which used to be a vital water source, is now so polluted that residents are reporting a rise in waterborne diseases. These environmental issues point to a bigger problem: Tajikistan's lack of infrastructure and regulation. Without urgent action, the country's pollution crisis could continue to harm both its natural resources and the health of its people, with long-lasting consequences. The United Arab Emirates is known for its modern cities and luxurious lifestyle, but it's also dealing with some of the highest levels of air pollution in the world. The main culprit? The nation's heavy reliance on fossil fuels, which power its booming economy but come at a steep environmental cost. According to 2024 data, the UAE's air quality index often reaches levels classified as unhealthy, with particulate matter levels significantly higher than the World Health Organization's recommended limits. This kind of pollution has deadly consequences, especially for the country's outdoor workers who are exposed to harsh conditions every day. Studies have shown that air pollution in the UAE is linked to a rising number of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases, leading to thousands of premature deaths each year. Despite the UAE's substantial investments in renewable energy like solar power, the country still faces significant environmental challenges. Its rapid development and reliance on oil continue to strain efforts to create a sustainable future. Without further action, the UAE's pollution problems could overshadow its advancements, affecting both the health of its citizens and the environment. If you think the UAE needs to focus more on sustainability, comment "clean air" now below. Your voice matters in the fight against pollution. Pakistan, a country rich in culture and history, is facing a severe environmental crisis, especially in its major cities like Lahore, Faisalabad, and Karachi. These cities are among the most polluted in the world, with air quality reaching dangerously high levels. According to 2024 data, the levels of particulate matter, or PM2.5, in these urban areas often exceed 200 micrograms per cubic meter, well above the World Health Organization's safe limit of 25 micrograms. This kind of air pollution is more than just a statistic. It's a public health disaster, causing thousands of deaths each year, and significantly reducing life expectancy. But the challenges in Pakistan go beyond just the air. Water pollution is rampant across the country, with rivers and groundwater contaminated by industrial waste, sewage, and agricultural runoff. This widespread water pollution is linked to numerous health problems, including waterborne diseases that affect millions of people every year. The combination of poor air and water quality has made daily life in many parts of Pakistan increasingly dangerous. The situation in Pakistan is a stark reminder of the urgent need for stronger environmental regulations and sustainable practices. Without immediate action, the health and well-being of millions will remain at risk, and the country's environmental degradation could reach irreversible levels. Indonesia, a country known for its stunning landscapes and rich biodiversity, is also one of the world's largest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions. This is mostly due to deforestation driven by palm oil production and illegal logging. In 2024, Indonesia was responsible for nearly 8% of global deforestation, making it a major player in the climate crisis. The destruction of its rainforest not only releases massive amounts of carbon dioxide, but also devastates habitats for countless species. But Indonesia's environmental challenges don't stop there. The country is also grappling with severe air and water pollution. Major cities like Jakarta often experience what's been dubbed air apocalypse conditions, where the air quality index reaches hazardous levels due to the burning of forests and coal-fired power plants. Water pollution is equally troubling, with rivers like the Citarum ranked among the most polluted in the world, filled with industrial waste, sewage, and plastic debris. In fact, a shocking 28% of Indonesia's population doesn't have access to clean drinking water, leading to widespread health issues. A real-world example of Indonesia's environmental problems is the annual haze crisis that blankets not just Indonesia, but also neighboring countries like Malaysia and Singapore. This crisis is caused by the burning of lands for agriculture and highlights the urgent need for better environmental practices and stricter regulations. Indonesia's environmental challenges are complex and interconnected, and they require immediate and sustained action to protect its natural resources and the health of its people. Without significant changes, the country risks further environmental degradation that could have global consequences. Egypt, a country with a rich history and cultural heritage, is now facing an environmental crisis, especially in its bustling capital, Cairo. Cairo's air pollution is among the worst in the world, with particulate matter, or PM2.5, levels regularly exceeding the World Health Organization's recommended limits by up to 5 times. This hazardous air quality is linked to respiratory illnesses and a significant number of premature deaths each year. According to 2024 data, air pollution in Cairo alone contributes to over 20,000 deaths annually. But the pollution problem isn't just in the air. The Nile River, which is Egypt's lifeline, is heavily contaminated with industrial waste, sewage, and agricultural runoff. This pollution is not just an environmental issue, it's a public health threat for the millions of Egyptians who depend on the Nile for drinking water, irrigation, and fishing. The situation is so severe that the United Nations has identified the Nile as one of the world's most polluted rivers, putting the health and livelihoods of over 90 million Egyptians at risk. These environmental challenges make it clear that Egypt needs stronger regulations and sustainable practices. Without significant intervention, the pollution crisis could have devastating long-term effects on both the population's health and the nation's future. Iraq, a country rich in history and resources, is struggling with severe environmental challenges, particularly air and water pollution. The air quality in Iraq is among the worst globally, largely due to the country's reliance on the oil industry, the burning of fossil fuels, and flaring at oil fields. According to 2024 data, Iraq's air pollution levels often rank among the highest in the world, leading to a significant increase in respiratory illnesses and other health problems. Water pollution is another major issue, especially in the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, which are crucial for Iraq's agriculture and drinking water supply. Industrial waste, untreated sewage, and agricultural runoff have severely contaminated these rivers, making the water unsafe for millions of Iraqis. The United Nations reports that nearly 70% of Iraq's untreated sewage is discharged directly into these rivers, posing a serious threat to public health and food security. These environmental crises highlight the urgent need for Iraq to implement stronger environmental protections and sustainable practices. Without immediate action, the health of the population and the country's future prosperity are at serious risk. If you think Iraq needs to focus more on sustainability, comment clean air. Now below, your voice matters in the fight against pollution. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, a country rich in natural resources, is facing severe environmental challenges that affect the daily lives of its people. The air quality in the DRC is extremely poor, primarily due to the widespread use of firewood and charcoal for cooking. 2024 data shows that over 85% of households in the DRC rely on these traditional fuels, leading to high levels of indoor air pollution. This exposure is linked to respiratory diseases, especially among women and children who spend the most time near cooking fires. Deforestation is another critical issue in the DRC. Vast areas of the Congo rainforest are being cleared for agriculture and to meet the demand for charcoal, which leads to habitat loss and biodiversity decline. Illegal mining operations make things even worse, contaminating rivers and soil with toxic chemicals like mercury. For example, in areas near mining sites, locals have noticed a significant decline in fish populations, which are a crucial food source. These environmental issues in the DRC highlight the urgent need for sustainable development practices. If significant intervention isn't made soon, the country's natural resources could be depleted, leaving behind a legacy of environmental degradation that would be hard to reverse. China, despite its ongoing efforts to tackle pollution, remains one of the most polluted countries in the world. The country faces severe air, water, and soil pollution, largely driven by its massive industrial activities and heavy reliance on coal power. According to 2024 data, China is still the world's largest carbon dioxide emitter, responsible for nearly 30% of global CO2 emissions. This not only worsens air quality but also significantly contributes to global climate change. Air pollution in major cities like Beijing and Shanghai often reaches hazardous levels, with particulate matter concentrations far exceeding the World Health Organization's guidelines. This poor air quality has led to millions of premature deaths due to respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Even with measures like the introduction of electric vehicles and stricter emission standards, the sheer scale of China's industrial output continues to strain these efforts. Water and soil pollution are equally alarming. Major rivers like the Yangtze and Yellow River are heavily contaminated with industrial waste and agricultural runoff, posing serious health risks to the population. Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, is facing severe environmental challenges, especially in its rapidly growing urban areas. Air pollution in cities like Lagos and Abuja is among the worst on the continent, driven by vehicle emissions, industrial activities, and the widespread use of generators due to unreliable electricity supply. According to 2024 data, Nigeria's air quality frequently exceeds World Health Organization's safety limits, leading to a surge in respiratory diseases and premature deaths. Water pollution is another critical issue, especially in the oil-rich Niger Delta. Decades of oil spills have contaminated the water supply, devastating local ecosystems and threatening the health of millions. In some regions, the water is so polluted that it's undrinkable, forcing communities to rely on expensive alternatives or unsafe sources. Adding to these problems is Nigeria's inadequate waste management system. Urban areas are often plagued by overflowing landfills and improperly disposed waste, which contributes to land and water pollution and exacerbates public health issues. Sudan, a country with a rich cultural heritage, is struggling with severe environmental issues that impact the health and well-being of its people. Air and water pollution levels in Sudan are alarmingly high, primarily due to industrial discharges and outdated sewage systems. According to 2024 data, major cities like Khartoum frequently experience air quality issues, with pollutants far exceeding safe levels, leading to a rise in respiratory illnesses. Water pollution is an equally critical problem in Sudan. The Nile, a lifeline for millions, is heavily contaminated with industrial waste and untreated sewage, making the water unsafe for drinking and agricultural use. In some regions, communities are forced to use polluted water sources, leading to widespread health problems, including cholera outbreaks. Environmental degradation in Sudan is further compounded by deforestation, unsustainable farming practices, and poor waste management. Large areas of forest have been cleared for agriculture, leading to soil erosion and desertification. For example, in Darfur, deforestation has dramatically reduced the availability of arable land, worsening food insecurity and contributing to conflict over resources. These environmental challenges in Sudan highlight the urgent need for sustainable development and better environmental regulations. Without immediate action, the country's natural resources could be depleted further, threatening the health and livelihoods of its people. If you're concerned about the environmental crisis in Sudan, drop a comment below with Save Sudan. Your voice matters in raising awareness and pushing for the change that's urgently needed. As we wrap up our journey through the 12 dirtiest countries in the world, it's clear that pollution isn't just an environmental issue, it's a human crisis. These stories remind us of the urgent need for change. So, what can be done? Are stricter regulations the answer, or should we focus on sustainable development? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below, and if you found this documentary eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Together we can raise awareness and work towards a cleaner, healthier world.